Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I got one coming at you straight from a black small college, Fort Valley State University in Georgia. And it has some terrible allegations that have been taunted against members of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, AKAs, Black Female Sorority. And for full disclosure, my mother, who's deceased, was an AKA. My sister's an AKA. My ex-wife is an AKA. And also my oldest daughter is an AKA, and my ex-mother-in-law. So I have tons of AKAs in my family, and this is such an unfortunate story. I am a member of Omega Psi Phi, Q Dogs, and this is a scandal that is very embarrassing for Fort Valley State University and for the female AKA sorority. Here we go. 7 indicted in Fort Valley State sex scandal. A Peach County grand jury has indicted 7 people accused in a sex scandal at Fort Valley State University. 7 people allegedly tied to a sex scandal at Fort Valley State have been indicted just shy of a year after the state launched an investigation into disturbing claims. Among the indicted was Alicia Johnson, a former executive assistant to the Fort Valley State president. She was accused of arranging acts between at least 1 woman and 6 men. She's also accused of prostitution herself. A grand jury in Peach County ultimately indicted her on 6 counts of prostitution, 4 counts of pimping, and 2 counts of solicitation. High-ranking officials were also indicted. Several men also face 1 count each of solicitation, of sodomy, and 2 counts of pandering. Many also held major titles in their own towns, and even one held a high position at Fort Valley State University. 58-year-old Charles Jones was Fort Valley State's former Director of Government Relations and the former Chief Legal Officer. Now, remember those titles. There's hypocrisy and dichotomy all throughout this story. 11 Alive previously found he held other titles according to his now removed bio page on the university's website. The biography also stated he was married and had 3 children. Further investigation, though, showed he wasn't the only person in the indictment who held a high-ranking position in some government agency. Ernest Harvey of Kathleen was also charged in 2018 and indicted recently. WMAZ reports the 47-year-old man was previously an assistant principal at Huntington Middle School. School officials said he was no longer with the district. Now listen to these titles and these positions, and then what they were diabolically doing in their private lives. They had a public persona and a private persona. Kenneth Howard, the 57-year-old city manager of Hinesville, was also named. And 46-year-old Arthur James Nance Jr., the vice chairman of the Crisp County Commission, was indicted as well. 2 others, 32-year-old Ryan Jenkins of Albany and 26-year-old Devontae Little of Warner Robins, are also listed in the indictment on the same charges as the other men. Fort Valley, how this Essex scandal began. Fort Valley State University first went under investigation by the GBI for alleged employee misconduct involving students and outside players in 2018. GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigations, Special Agent J.T. Rickardson said the agency was requested by the Georgia Board of Regents and Attorney General's office to look into a matter at the university. Rickardson said their criminal investigation began in April 12, 2018. While he wouldn't categorize the investigation, posts on Twitter and other social media platforms pointed to an Essex scandal with the Alpha Beta chapter of the oldest historically black sorority in the world, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, aka. Here's the aftermath. A little more than a week after allegations surfaced of an Essex scandal involving the chapter, the AKA chapter, and a member of the Fort Valley State University administration, the chapter was suspended. A letter from the Southern Atlantic Regional Director of the sorority outlined the suspension and said the investigation was spurred after she received information regarding unauthorized activities and misconduct involving current and former members of the Alpha Beta chapter of the AKAs. In a statement to 11 Alive, the sorority said that it was appalled by the allegations and had began its own investigation. These allegations are in no way representative of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority's 110-year service-based mission or its nearly 300,000 members. We condemn these allegations in the strongest possible terms. We remain dedicated to our mission to encourage high scholastic and ethical standards, promote unity, alleviate problems concerning girls and women, create opportunities for them to pursue higher education, and be of service to millions of people around the world annually, the statement read in part. They also identified a Fort Valley employee who was placed on administrative leave, who was later identified as Miss Johnson, as one of their own, and Johnson eventually resigned. So this young lady, who was the executive assistant to the president of Fort Valley State University, Alicia Johnson, had a high position. She's reporting directly to the president of the university, and she's also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, aka sorority, decides that she's going to be some kind of sex trafficker, human trafficking, pimp, and also engaged in sexual misconduct illegally. What a crazy story. These kids are supposed to be going to these universities to be a think tank and a learning institution, and then you have administrators and government officials that are engaging in illegal activity that has to do with sex trafficking, prostitution, illicit activities, and all of these individuals are supposed to be black African American leaders in this town in Georgia. So they had a public life that seemed conservative, married, trying to do the right thing and be an upstanding citizen, and then they had a private life that was completely demonic and diabolical, in the sense that they are exploiting these female college students who should be there garnering an education, trying to further their maturity, their level of consciousness and positive thinking. And many kids that go to college don't have a lot of money, especially at our historically HBCUs or black universities. And when you are in a tough situation, sometimes you can get caught up into things that will bring negativity to you. When your belly is hungry, many times individuals will do things that they normally wouldn't do if everything was okay. That does not make it okay for these young ladies at the university to engage in this kind of activity, but I put all the onus on Miss Alicia Johnson and the 5 or 6 gentlemen that got indicted for this crime.